Good evening. Hi, Julie Kay here. Are emotions good or bad? This was the beginning of my series, the question I asked 3 months ago when I began my series on emotions on my YouTube channel. And I actually did 12 videos on it. Probably could even add more things to it, but I really thoroughly went through this discussion one step at a time as God led me. And we explored a lot of questions and issues as well as scriptures and what God is, does God have emotions? Did he create emotions? He absolutely did, because we have emotions and he created us. So I want to do a recap tonight on the different things that I went over in each video, just to kind of make sure you know about the series and you can kind of go back and watch ones that you want to. And if you struggle with your expression of emotions, if you struggle with whether you think we should even express emotions or certain emotions like anger or sadness and things like that, if you struggle with that, if you were shut down with that, if your family didn't teach you to release it and how to release them, express them, any of those issues, this would be a really good series for you. And it is on my channel, Julie Kay Kettles, like a teapot, Kettles. And you can get to it even with just Julie Kettles, which is my name here on Facebook. So it should be easy for you to find it. I usually put the link in the description of these videos for you as well. But you can certainly put that in the search bar. And I am trying to get to 1,000. I'm very close to 1,000 subscribers, which gives other privileges on YouTube. So if you would like to check out my channel and you're willing to subscribe to it and even maybe hit the bell too, but at least subscribe and help me meet my goal. If you don't like the channel or it doesn't help you later, you always can unsubscribe. But I would love for you to help me with that and for you to check out the videos on my channel, many videos on grief and loss. And this is just probably the longest series I've ever done. I think it is. And I didn't plan on it being this long. But to start with, I did ask that question, are emotions good or bad? And that was the name of the first video. And I declared them as absolutely good because and important. And, that our emotions are God-given because he created us fearfully and wonderfully made, the Bible says in Psalm 139 and many other verses that talk about how he created us. And we have emotions. So if he created us and you believe he created us, which I do, then we really must believe that he created emotions as part of our being. And, so they're absolutely also, I want to say that they're absolutely a part of our grief. I went in and I talked about that a little more in depth on one of the videos, but they are absolutely a part of our grief. So they're part of us expressing. And obviously when we cry, most of us know that crying has to do with emotions, but there's thoughts behind that as well. So most of us can identify crying as that, but it goes further than that. Okay. But they're absolutely a part of our grief and they must be expressed. And that's what I'm here to stress because so many people have been shut down with them. Just get over it. Be strong. You got to be strong for your family. That's coming to me. Not just boys, but a lot of times boys are told, don't be a, sissy or a weak or, you got to be a man and not express your feelings. So there's all kinds of things. Hey, please comment if you had something that had happened. And one of the videos I'm going to get to, I specifically talk about all the reasons, different reasons that different ones of us have for why we don't feel free to express our emotions and, or why we don't feel safe to express them. Okay. So that's one of them. But the second video, then I went on to 4 ways to our emotions help us. So basically at the beginning, the first 2 is kind of like saying why emotions are good or how they benefit us. All right. It's kind of what I went over on the first 2 videos. And then all the rest have to do with my second part of the series, which is what do we do with our emotions? And there's I really go in depth. I think probably more than anybody else has ever done. Maybe not ever, but you know what I mean. And there's different things I hit on in each one. So you're going to hear me share on that right now as I go through this video right now. But if you come on and you're hearing me and you have a comment or want to talk about emotions, or you would like me to address other topics related to mental health or grief and loss, please let me know. I would absolutely love to know what you would like to know more about, or what you would like to hear discussed. And I'd be open to thinking about possibly doing that. But I just would love to hear your ideas on that. So the second video had to do with giving us more specific understanding of the purpose of our emotions. That was my second video. And so the third video, then I went on to really the second part of a series, like I said, on answering what do we do with our emotions. And my first, in that video specifically, really it was about accepting. So it was kind of the first foundational principle we need in place to be able to express our emotions. So it's not just like, do it. I mean, there's a lot of videos on YouTube, how to do it, how to fix your car, how to do this, how to do that, whatever. I'm really going into more in depth about this because we can't just tell each other how to do it. Although some of us just do it and we have no problem expressing our emotions, right? And then it's a matter of, are we expressing it in a healthy way, in a way that's healthy for other people, in the right way, at the right time, and all that. That's not totally what I'm going over in this series. It's more to help those who have had a problem with feeling allowed permission to express their emotions by others or by themselves. That's where I'm going with this, okay? So, so really the foundation, I call it acceptance. And I talk about acceptance on a lot of other videos. It's a principle that I keep showing up that I believe comes from the wisdom of God. It doesn't mean it's the only word to use. There's other words you can use besides acceptance, but it's the word that I've come up with, and it's one of my bookmark 10 tips to grief is accept things as they are. And that includes accept yourself as you are, others as they are, where we're at, and it doesn't mean we accept sin and evil and all that. But there's a lot within the realm of how to help yourself along your grief journey that involves acceptance. I've just learned that. So I want to put it in as simple as a way as I can. So to be able to accept our emotions is the foundation of it. And then on that third video, which is the one talking about acceptance, the importance of acceptance of our emotions in order to express them and get them out and learn from them, because we can learn from them. And 1 and 2 talks about that. Okay. But with that, there's other ways we can say that, we need acceptance in order to express them, to allow the emotions to surface, to allow ourselves to feel them, to allow that expression of them or getting out. Because as Gary Rose says, and Dr. Wilfeld says, and probably every expert says, Gina Moffa, who I forgot to grab her book so I could show you, but I've showed that book on other videos, is another book that I use a lot for this series because she talks quite a bit about emotions, which I thought was awesome. She also says that you got to get your grief out. So if you got to get your grief out, you got to get your emotions out, because that's part of your grief. Your thoughts, your memories, absolutely. The way your body feels and things, all of that is absolutely a part of it. But I don't think the emotions always get the credit they need to get. Okay. We keep a tissue box right in the middle of our support group that we have every Monday night at 7 p.m. at Calvary Chapel Worship Center to just say that we're okay with emotions and we're okay with crying and emotions and sadness and even depression and, other emotions too. But we kind of make that statement by putting the tissues right in the middle of the circle. Okay. So they need to be allowed. Allow is another word to use, and I talk about other ways to express it on that video because I like exploring different words. It makes us all think different ways. It might hit you differently than just saying acceptance. All right. So, but if we don't accept anything, if we don't accept something, or someone, we can't go any further. I mean, I'm just trying to think of a simple way to put it, but we can't go any further then, right? So if we don't accept a certain person, we can't go any further with that relationship. We won't go further with that relationship, or we won't try to understand that person or listen to that person or care about that person because we don't accept them to begin with. So acceptance is a huge part of life if you think of it that way. So that was the third video. And then the fourth video, for the fourth and fifth videos reflect back to that third video. So in the fourth video, it is about God having emotions. God has emotions, and he created emotions. He made emotions. So that's what I established in the fourth video. And so I really believe that that video overall kind of gives us the reason, gives us a good positive reason to accept our emotions. And if you're a Bible believing Christian like I am, a believer and follower of Jesus, or anything of that sort, or Catholic or any other denomination that's Christian, the Bible, you know, we take the Bible seriously, hopefully you do. And you want to know that what I'm saying is scripturally based. I'm not trying to say everything I say is totally biblical or perfect or anything like that, as I'm not perfect. But to look at this is important to see that not only God made emotions, but he has emotions, even goes further. And I think when we look at that, if we're serious studier of the Bible, we will be like, wow, yeah, I hadn't thought of it that way. Because I didn't totally think about it that way until I was doing the series. Okay? So it enlightened me, or kind of strengthened me to realize the importance of emotion. I established in the fourth video that God has emotions, and that, you know, this can really help you to accept your emotions. And I also explored 3 different emotions God has in that video. Anger, so just to let you know, anger, sadness, and pleasure, or happiness, as we would normally say today in our world, in our American world anyway. And so whatever word you want to use it, pleasure. So those 3 emotions are pretty not too hard to find in the Bible, and there's probably other ones, but those are the ones that I touched on in that fourth video to give you an encouraging, positive reason to accept and validate and honor and learn more about your emotions and their values. Okay. So the fifth video kind of is the opposite shift, and it explores more of the negative reasons why, or some of them, but I go over a lot in the video. It doesn't mean there's not more though, but I go over a lot of the negative reasons why we tend not to feel like we can express our emotions, or we tend not to accept our emotions or certain emotions, or why we tend not to express it because we don't feel safe with certain people or certain behaviors and things like that. And a lot of it has to do with our upbringing, especially if there's things in our upbringing that hinder that can make it a real problem. So I really go in depth into that. It's a really good video for you to check out. And so I call that is the reasons why we may not feel safe to express or learn from our emotions, because we can learn from our emotions. And I gave reasons that I came up with, and then reasons that Gina Moffa had in her book too. So that was the fifth video. All right. And then now moving on to the sixth video, kind of brings us back to kind of the next, not just step, but the next principle of it, of how do we get our emotions out? How do we express our emotions? And so it's the next principle after the third video, where we went into acceptance, right? Yes, the third video. So make sure I'm saying the numbers right here. And I said the wrong number on some of them. I got behind. So, but that's okay. Anyway, so this sixth video is kind of like the next level after acceptance, and it goes deeper in a sense, if you want to call it that. And so I called that video, How to Respect Your Emotions. And so how to express your emotion, how to respect your emotions. Ooh, respect my emotions? You know, respect is an important word, and it shouldn't be thrown around lightly. But Gina Moffa actually used that word in her book, and I thought of it too. So And so again, you can use different words. You may not say, I don't know if I like that one, but another couple words that I used in the video was to lean into your emotions and then to embrace your emotions. That's a pretty strong word too. So I go in depth on that one, and you can check that out and see what you think about that. But we can all learn from things, from different perspectives of people teaching different things. So I'm just here to teach what I know at this moment. I don't claim to be an expert. I do specialize in grief and loss, but I'm constantly learning. So, but definitely, it's definitely going to another level and expressing your emotions and what it kind of needs to look like in order for you to do that in a healthy way and to release them, and therefore so that healing can take place. And I love the word peace. I love peace next to my salvation and Jesus that I'm so thankful for. I'm so thankful for God's peace. All the fruits of the Spirit are good, but I love peace. And I don't like it when I don't have it. And then I have to realize how to get back to it. So, but I definitely can, all of that, to be able to accept your emotions and then learn to respect them. You can therefore move more healthfully along your grief journey at your own pace, because we're all individuals. I talk about that in many of these videos, how unique our situation is. So I'm trying to come up with principles and things that across the board relate to most of us, but there's so much individuality and uniqueness in the midst of all of this that I do touch on quite a bit in this series. And it's important we realize that, so we're not comparing ourselves to one another or each other, or allowing others to compare us to someone else and therefore shutting us down and becoming an unhealthy person, which is the last 3 videos talk about safety and all that, and a lot more about that. Okay, so now moving into the 7th video. These are all in a playlist. I should have already mentioned that. I need to go in there and double check that they're all in there, but they should all be in a playlist that is public on the channel. And I should have the full way I titled that in front of me, but if you put in Emotion Series playlist, you should get it by Julie Kettles, Julie Kay Kettles, but Julie Kettles. Let me know if you try that and you don't see that, and I will again try to remember to put the link to the playlist in the description of this video so you can easily go to it too. But I'm just kind of letting you hear the whole series here. All right, so the 7th one what I titled the 7th one is, Will God Help Me With My Painful Emotions? Will God help me with my painful emotions? I adamantly believe he does, but I've had to learn that part, and even to realize how much he cares about my heart and my soul and the things I'm going through and the pain, emotional pain and loss and hurt and things I go through. So in that video, that 7th video, I explore several passages. So I'm not going to quote them here, that God, and really overall, the thrust is that God comes. Now, if you know the Bible verse, one of my favorite that I say is, He'll never leave me or forsake me. And that verse, that promise is throughout the Bible. I don't know exactly how many scriptures, but there's multiple scriptures on that, not just even 2. There's more than 2. There's some in the Old Testament and the New Testament. How He's with us and never leaves us or forsakes us once we're saved and He lives inside of us. But my video here emphasizes even more through the scriptures that I look at the real meaning and the real original words. You can see that He comes near to us when we're brokenhearted. That's one of the verses. He actually comes closer. Where many people leave and we feel like we're alone, you need to realize, I need to realize that He's there for me, and He's actually getting closer to me when I'm hurting. And because it doesn't always feel like that, that is for sure. But He does come closer to us, especially when we're humble about it and we cry out to Him about it. And when we're broken, and He leans into our pain, and He can mend it, and He can heal us. And it's just so powerful that you could do. I really encourage you to get in the Word on the verses I have in that, and even do a study on this if you're really brokenhearted. So you believe in Jesus, it'll shift your perspective about how God is so involved in our pain, and He understands it, He gets it, He can handle it. But not just that, He literally so desires to heal our heart. He's the healer of the brokenhearted. That's Isaiah 6 and Isaiah 61. That's one of the verses. So I love that video. Check that one out. Number 7, great number 7. Okay. And then the 8th video, I titled, Can you imagine a world without emotions? Can you imagine a world without emotions? This is just what came up to me. So again, part of this is just kind of how I believe God, and how I just processed in my mind what to talk about next in this series. And so, but, it's so easy sometimes to think, well, then I just am wrong, or that person's wrong, or that thing is wrong, because anger, a lot of times, for example, is called a demon, or it's like it's automatically sin. You got to get the anger out of your life, or preached on. And I think we need to be very careful, because God was angry, and we can still, we can have fleshy, ungodly anger, absolutely, but we can also have righteous anger, and maybe we don't know what to do with it, and we do end up sinning in it, but that doesn't mean anger itself is bad. And that could be part of our problem, why we do end up sinning, and it's because it's not acknowledged or honored enough to where we then go, oh, okay, I'm angry, and it's okay that I'm angry. What do I do with it? What am I angry about? Do I need to talk to a counselor about this? Do I need to journal about this? Do I need to just, if I'm so angry that I can't think this calmly about it, maybe I need to just go punch a pillow, or, go take a walk, go take a run, go do a sport that I do to get my anger out that way, instead of taking it out on, someone else. So obviously there's all of that, but I don't really go into that on this series, because I think we have more teachings about that than on what I'm talking about. So I really want to bring honor and validation to the fact that our emotions are from God, and we need to pay attention to them and not just ignore them. So that one, I explored different scenarios on there, and kind of tried to get us envisioning a world without emotions. So you can check that one out. It's a simple concept once you get on that video. And it can kind of open your eyes to, would I want to be in a world without emotions? So that's what that one was about. And the 9th video in this emotion series is titled, Do You Feel Safe to Share Your Deep Emotions? Do you feel safe to share your deep emotions? So on that one, it's kind of a self-evaluation. I kind of promote you to have your own self-evaluation of your relationships, of the people in your life, of situations and things like that. Because again, we're all unique. And I know I'm almost positive I touched on that video, the uniqueness, so that I'm not trying to talk like it has to be this way or that way. Because I don't know who's in your life. All of that's completely unique, and it's your own story. But I encourage you on that video and empower you. I try to empower you to be discerning and to think through your relationships and who's healthy and who's not, or not that you get rid of all of them or any of them, but maybe you just don't share certain things with certain ones. Maybe the grief you're experiencing now is not received by a certain friend. They can't relate to it, or maybe they can relate to it and they're not ready to help you. And there's other reasons too. So maybe that person is just not the person to talk to about your present grief. Maybe all the people in your circle are good people, and you have some good friends and good family, but none of them can really help you with the grief you're going through. So you do need a counselor or a therapist or a coach and what have you. So that is important to look at that. And so I'm just trying to really help you on that 9th video to think through it, and think through it so that you have safe expression emotions, and it doesn't go back and shut you back down or think like, look what just happened. Look what they just said. I'm not going to share anything. So you don't do that. You just go and find those who are healthy to be able to do it with. And then the 10th video is called What Feels Unsafe for You When You're Grieving. So what feels unsafe for you when you're grieving? What we don't want or need. So that one I kind of talk about what we don't want or we don't need kind of the negative or the not so good, because we do. Sometimes we need to look at the not good, but sometimes that's all we focus on. So then the 11th video, I focus on what is healthy and what will help us. And that one is called When Grieving, What Makes Us Feel Safe. When Grieving, What Makes Us Feel Safe is the title of that one. And that's the 11th video. So those two, are from two different angles. What is unsafe for you, but I talk about different things and I kind of do reflect back and forth on both of them. But what is, feels unsafe for you and kind of help you identify that. Because you may be realizing this, but you never thought it through, and you'll go, oh, wow, yeah, that's what happened. And that's unsafe for me. Yeah, I agree with Julie. That was unsafe for me. I didn't feel safe. As I say, I used to think unsafeness only had to do with sexual, abuse and things like that, but it goes much further than that. And God is a safe person to us, and he wants to be safe for us, and we can rely on him. But so the 11th video does definitely explore scriptures, and it also, God's commands. So if you're a studier of the Word of God, you're going to hear these verses and go, yeah, I've read these. But it's thinking of it in a different way for what you need and also what you want to give to others who are hurting so that you can help them. And how God's commands really cover what is safe for us and good for us and healthy for us and help us to move forward in life and heal from things we've been wounded from, and also hopefully not be wounded in areas that we don't need to end up being wounded in. And then the 12th video is called 4 Keys to Safely Express Your Emotions. So 4 keys to safely express your emotions. And those are practical how-tos that I came up with. So if you want some practical how-tos to safely express your emotions, go to that video, the 12th video, the last one that I did. And you'll get some practical ways to deal with it. And again, it's not just like do this, do that, boop, 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 boop. Because it's unique, but it kind of helps you to develop that uniqueness and think of specific things for keys to that safe expression. Okay, so I hope you check out the series. Look for the link in the description of this video. If I forget to put it here, remind me, and or it may be in a comment. Probably will be in a comment actually. And then please go check it out and subscribe if you're willing to, because I believe with me that I'm going to get to 1,000 by Sunday. My birthday's on Sunday, so I'm hoping to get to 1,000. Thank you for joining me. I'm Julie Kay, helping you find your way through grief and loss. And thank you for checking out my emotion series on my channel, Julie Kay Kettles, Kettles. God bless. Sign off till next week. And let me know if you have ideas for any more topics or series you would like to see me to cover. Thank you. God bless. Bye.